Eat these to beat gout. 8 foods that flush uric acid naturally. Have you ever rolled out of bed only to feel a sharp pain shooting through your big toe, like someone dropped a brick on it overnight? Or maybe you've noticed your joints swelling up for no clear reason, making your shoes feel tight and your steps a little more hesitant. You're not alone, and no, it's not always just getting older. It could be uric acid, a compound that quietly builds up in your bloodstream until one day it makes itself known painfully. I once had a patient, George, 67, who came in thinking he'd sprained his ankle while gardening. Turns out it was gout, not from trauma, but from years of eating the wrong foods without realizing what they were doing to his body. Now, here's the part most people never hear. Uric acid buildup can lead to more than gout. Left unchecked, it can damage your joints, hurt your kidneys, and even raise your risk of heart disease. In fact, a study in arthritis and rheumatology found that people with high uric acid levels had a significantly higher risk of cardiovascular death. That's not something you want to ignore. But here's the hopeful part. You don't need expensive medications or harsh treatments to fix this. There are everyday foods, simple, natural, often delicious, that help your body flush excess uric acid before it causes harm. In today's episode from Science of Wellness, we're diving into 8 of the most powerful uric acid-clearing foods, each one backed by science and grounded in what I've seen in real patients. And just between us, somewhere in that list, I'll let you in on the one I personally use the most. It's easy to prepare, gentle on the body, and believe it or not, it's become a bit of a staple in my own kitchen. My wife now buys it in bulk. So if you've been feeling stiff, sore, or swollen, or if you simply want to protect your joints and kidneys as you age, stick with me. You might just find the answer sitting right in your fridge. Let's get started. Cherries, little helpers for stubborn joints. I remember one of my patients, Linda, 71, who came to see me with pain in her big toe that kept waking her up at night. She thought it was just arthritis, but her labs showed elevated uric acid levels, and sure enough, she was dealing with early gout. Instead of putting her straight on heavy medication, we started simple. I recommended she try adding cherries to her daily diet. Not because they're trendy, but because I've seen time and time again how well they can work for the right people. There's actually a study published in Arthritis and Rheumatism that supports this. According to the data, those who consumed cherries regularly had a 35% lower risk of gout attacks. When combined with standard medication like allopurinol, the risk dropped up to 75%. Of course, these are population averages, not guarantees. What seems to help is the anthocyanins in cherries, natural compounds that may reduce inflammation and support the kidneys in clearing out excess uric acid. It's not magic, but it can be surprisingly effective. Linda started with just a handful of fresh cherries each morning, or sometimes half a cup of tart cherry juice. Within a few weeks, her swelling became less frequent. She still gets occasional flare-ups, but nothing like before. Again, results like these depend on your overall health and how your body responds. But in my experience, cherries are one of the most gentle, enjoyable ways to support joint health, especially when uric acid is a concern. Celery, gentle detox that works quietly behind the scenes. Celery isn't flashy. It doesn't make health headlines like turmeric or kale, but in my clinical experience, it's often one of the most quietly effective tools for patients trying to lower uric acid, especially in older adults with mild kidney stress. Take Roger, 70, former high school coach, great storyteller, not a fan of green stuff. He came to me with mild ankle swelling and discomfort after meals. His blood work showed slightly elevated uric acid, nothing urgent, but something to address early. Instead of jumping into strict diets or supplements, I recommended one small change. Add 2 stalks of raw celery to lunch or afternoon snacks, about 3 to 4 times per week. Why celery? It's naturally rich in potassium and contains phthalides, plant compounds that may help relax blood vessels and support kidney filtration. There's preliminary research, including some published in phytotherapy research, that suggests that celery seed extract may help reduce uric acid and inflammation. While we can't draw sweeping conclusions, I've personally seen improvement in many cases when celery is added consistently, but not excessively. Roger started dipping celery in hummus instead of reaching for crackers. He told me, "Doc, I don't love it, but I can live with it." After a month, he noticed fewer flare-ups and better digestion. It's important to note, celery isn't a cure-all. In fact, eating large quantities every day could cause bloating or discomfort in sensitive individuals, but used in moderation, 2 to 4 times per week, it can support hydration, uric acid excretion, and overall kidney function. Simple, affordable, and often overlooked. Number 3. Lemon water is a simple habit that supports uric acid balance. Sometimes it's the small things that make a big difference, and lemon water is a great example of that. It's simple, it's refreshing, and for many of my patients, it's become a quiet ally in their journey to lower uric acid. I had a patient, Susan, 68, who started each day with coffee and toast. Nothing wrong with that, but she struggled with dehydration and had a few borderline uric acid spikes. So I suggested a gentle habit. Start her morning with a glass of warm water and half a lemon squeezed in, about 4 or 5 days a week. Why lemon water? Well, lemons are rich in citric acid, which may help break down uric acid and support its elimination through the kidneys. A study in the Annals of Rheumatic Diseases found that lemon juice intake was associated with a reduction in serum uric acid levels, particularly in individuals who were slightly above the healthy range. But perhaps more importantly, lemon water encourages hydration, which is one of the most critical factors in preventing uric acid buildup. Susan added it to her morning routine, nothing dramatic. After 3 weeks, she told me she felt less sluggish, and her labs showed a mild but measurable improvement in kidney filtration. Now, let me be clear. Lemon water isn't a fix-all, and drinking it too often or in large amounts could lead to enamel wear or digestive discomfort in some people. But used 3 to 5 times per week, especially in the morning, I've seen it help support uric acid balance and kidney function in many of my older patients. It's a small, calming ritual that may go a long way when used thoughtfully.
Number 4. Cucumber, a cooling classic that quietly supports your kidneys. Let's be honest, cucumber doesn't exactly scream superfood. It's not exotic, it doesn't come in a fancy package, but that's exactly why I love it. I once had a retired mechanic, Joe, 72, who came to me with swelling in his feet that got worse by the end of each day. His uric acid wasn't dangerously high, but his kidneys were working harder than they used to. He was skeptical about drastic diet changes, so we started simple. I asked, "Joe, how do you feel about cucumbers?" He laughed, "Only when they're in my wife's pickles." So I said, "How about trying a few slices in your lunch or water bottle? Nothing extreme, just 2 to 3 times a week." Here's the thing. Cucumber is made up of over 95% water, which makes it a natural hydrator. And hydration is essential for flushing uric acid through the kidneys. It's also rich in potassium, a mineral that plays a key role in keeping uric acid levels in check by supporting proper kidney filtration. There's no need to overdo it. Eating a few slices several times a week in salads, wraps, or simply infused in water can be enough. In Joe's case, just making that one switch gave him more energy and noticeably less swelling by week 3. Now, cucumbers won't replace your medications or do miracles overnight, but when used consistently, not daily in excess, but regularly and moderately, they can be a gentle, affordable support for your uric acid levels and kidney function. Sometimes the quietest foods in your fridge are the ones doing the most work behind the scenes.
5. Berries, small fruit, quiet protection. There's something about berries I've always appreciated, not just their taste, but their understated strength. They don't shout like superfoods you see on magazine covers, but in my practice, they've quietly helped many of my older patients manage uric acid more gently and effectively than they expected. Let me tell you about Martha, 70, sweet lady, former piano teacher. She came to me complaining her fingers felt tight, almost like her joints were wearing gloves that didn't quite fit. We ran tests. Her uric acid wasn't dangerously high, but enough to raise concern, especially with mild kidney stress. We didn't jump to medication right away. Instead, I asked her to try something simple. Add half a cup of berries to her breakfast, about 4 times a week. Why berries? Because they're rich in vitamin C, and research, such as a study published in the Archives of Internal Medicine, has found that increased vitamin C intake is linked with lower uric acid levels. They also contain polyphenols, natural compounds that help calm inflammation and support vascular and kidney health. Martha chose blueberries and strawberries, frozen ones, to keep things affordable. She'd mix them into yogurt or oatmeal, nothing fancy. After a month, she told me her hands moved more freely. She even started playing piano again, just a few minutes a day. Now, do berries work like that for everyone? No. It depends on your kidneys, your insulin sensitivity, your hydration, your medications. But in many cases, I've seen berries, used moderately, not daily overload, become a gentle support in long-term uric acid management. They're not a quick fix, but sometimes the quietest allies are the most dependable.
Number 6. Avocado, the creamy favorite I never get tired of recommending. I'll be honest, there aren't many foods I get excited about personally, but avocados? Let's just say, if there's one food I never mind seeing on a patient's food log, it's this one. Not because it's trendy, not because it photographs well on toast, but because for the right person, at the right frequency, avocados offer a rare combination of heart support, anti-inflammatory fat, and kidney-friendly nutrients, all in one creamy scoop. I think of George, 66, semi-retired electrician, skeptical of health food. He said, "Doc, I don't do green mush." I smiled and replied, "It's not mush, it's medicine in disguise." Avocados are rich in potassium, which helps your kidneys excrete uric acid more efficiently. They also provide monounsaturated fats that support blood vessels and reduce systemic inflammation, especially useful for those prone to gout flare-ups. But here's what matters. I usually recommend no more than half an avocado 3 to 4 times a week, depending on the person's weight, cholesterol profile, and kidney function. Too much fat, even the good kind, can backfire, especially in patients with metabolic issues or reduced gallbladder function. George gave it a try. Half an avocado with lemon and salt on toast, 2 to 3 times a week. By his next follow-up, his blood pressure was steadier, his joint swelling had eased up, and he admitted, with a smirk, that he actually kind of liked it. Now, does avocado fix uric acid issues on its own? Of course not. But in my practice, it's one of the easiest foods to enjoy that supports the body's natural uric acid elimination when used moderately and paired with other healthy habits. So if you've been avocado curious, this might be your sign. 7. Water, the most powerful medicine we keep forgetting. Of all the things I recommend in my clinic, this one still surprises people the most. Not because it's rare, but because it's so ordinary. It's water. Plain, clean, unflavored water. I had a patient named Alan, 75 years old, sharp as a tack, but stubborn in the way many of us get after retirement. He came in with recurring foot pain, chalked it up to just old age, but his uric acid was climbing. When we reviewed his habits, one thing stood out. He barely drank water. Coffee? Yes. Juice? Sometimes. But actual water? Almost never. Here's what people often miss. Your kidneys are the main exit route for uric acid. And without consistent hydration, they can't do their job effectively. According to clinical guidance from the National Kidney Foundation, hydration is essential in managing uric acid and reducing the risk of kidney stones and gout flare-ups. So here's what I advised. Aim for 6 to 8 cups of water a day, more if you're active or live in a warm climate. But sip slowly throughout the day, not all at once. Don't force it, just create a rhythm. Alan started keeping a refillable bottle near his chair and setting gentle reminders. 2 months later, his labs improved and the swelling in his ankles backed down. Now, water isn't exciting. It doesn't have antioxidants or a vibrant color. But in over 30 years of practice, I've seen more improvement in uric acid numbers from hydration habits than from any single superfood. The best medicine sometimes is the simplest and the most overlooked. 8. Leafy greens, gentle strength from the garden. We all want the big fix, that one food, one trick, one magic cure. But in my experience, the most lasting results come from gentle, consistent habits, and often leafy greens are part of that quiet success story. I had a patient, Irene, 69, soft-spoken, used to cooking big Southern-style meals for her grandkids. Her uric acid wasn't sky-high, but it kept creeping up, and she began having stiffness in her wrists and knees. We didn't go straight to restrictions. Instead, we talked about what she could add, and leafy greens were high on the list. Spinach, kale, arugula, romaine, not piles of them, but a few servings across the week, lightly steamed or tossed into soups and omelets. Here's why. These greens are rich in magnesium, vitamin C, and chlorophyll, all of which may help reduce oxidative stress and promote a more alkaline environment in the body. This, in turn, may make it easier for the kidneys to flush out excess uric acid. A 2016 article in the Journal of Renal Nutrition highlighted that diets higher in alkaline-forming vegetables were linked to better acid-base balance and kidney support. Now, a quick note of caution. Some greens, like spinach, do contain moderate oxalates, so for patients prone to kidney stones or with specific metabolic issues, we adjust types and portions. But for most people, 1 cup of cooked greens or 2 cups raw 3 to 4 times per week fits beautifully into a uric acid-friendly routine. Irene began with kale in soup and arugula in sandwiches. She didn't become a salad lover overnight, but she told me it made her feel like she was doing something kind for her body. And over time, her flare-ups became fewer and her blood work steadier. That's the power of food that works with your body, not against it. It's not loud, it's not fast, but it's real. Conclusion: small choices, lasting relief. You see, Managing uric acid doesn't have to feel like a punishment or a prescription-filled routine you dread. Sometimes it's simply about choosing what works with your body instead of against it. 8 foods. Nothing exotic, nothing unreachable. Just the kind of foods you might walk past in your grocery store without knowing how much they could help you move more freely, sleep more peacefully, and live with less pain. But here's what I always tell my patients at Science of Wellness. It's not about eating everything perfectly. It's about making intentional, consistent choices. A few servings a week, a little more water each day, a shift toward listening to what your body's been trying to tell you. And remember, what works for someone else might not work the same for you. That's okay, because health isn't one size fits all. It's a personal journey, and you deserve to walk it with clarity, not confusion. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, start small. Pick one food, one habit. Try it. See how your body responds. Then build from there. Your joints, your kidneys, and your heart will thank you, not just for what you added to your plate, but for the kindness you showed your body, one meal, one day at a time.